good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon when you consume your media. Welcome to Run It Back. I am your host, Menelik Fernandez. Welcome to episode number 85. I guess I got a special guest on my shoulder there. Um, Thank you to everybody who joins in, supports, coaches who hop on the call, and anybody who listens at a later date. Run It Back, of course, remains the same, where we take teams that have played previously and we run it back, so to speak, where we talk about game preparation, where we talk about in-game adjustments, where we talk about what actually goes into our scouting report and how we deliver that to our guys or girls, where we talk about what's important on box scores. It's terribly niche, guys. So I mean, if you're not somebody who's really into the art or the pedagogy of coaching, then maybe not for you. But if you are, I think you've definitely parked your car in the right place, as they say. So today we're taking a look at excuse me, a prep school game that happened not too long ago in November. It's Phoenix Prep versus George Harris Prep. And as we have had previously, we have one of the coaches from the game, my good friend, DeShawn. You know what, Dash? Actually, I'm not going to pronounce your last name right. Montaque?
Yes,
Montaque?
Montague.
Yeah, nailed it.
You got it.
Sean Montague joining us today, commonly known as Dash up here in Toronto. Dash has been a buddy of mine for a while and somebody that I actually really admire the way that he's trending in life and look out to see how his success is going. Dash played at grassroots for the infamous Roe Russell. He was a coach with Junior Academy with Ontario Basketball. He runs a training facility up here in the Toronto outskirt area, so Mississauga, a suburb of the city. He has been a head coach of Vaughan Prep for the junior team. He's been a head coach at Project Excellence with the senior team, and now, of course, a head coach with George Harris Prep. As a player, he was a JUCO standout at Nebraska, and then came to my alma mater, York University, where I coached a few years. Just somebody who I've seen around for quite some time, always polite, always somebody who goes out of his way to hail you up and make sure you're doing all right. Somebody who cares about all the players that he trains. Dash, it's a real pleasure. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the show. Really, really glad to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure, man. So let's start here. Take us through, what the grind session is, what the All the Smoke tournament is. Give us a little bit of background as to what's going on in the game we're looking at.
Well, the grind session, I mean, to be honest, is definitely one of the most competitive leagues I've ever coached in myself. I mean, it's intense. I mean, you have a lot of like really top ranked players. Like there's players who are like ESPN ranked. Guys like literally almost on every single roster. We have about like 6 Division I players. For sure. Like, these are like high level kids. Like they're inspired to like really play professionally.
Love it.
And then there's all the smoke tournaments, just another session in their league in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona.
So they're like these typical tournaments where they have multiple sessions, and then sort of like your cumulative record dictates where you'll end up in their final session type deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. All right, so take us through Phoenix Prep a little bit and the background here. You're playing over the course of 4 days, if I have this correct. Mm-hmm. What do you know about Phoenix Prep going into it, and what does your scouting process look like?
Well, I mean, so all the smoke session, it was like probably like the 3rd session this year in the grind. So they like previously probably only played like 1 session beforehand. Right. So we were only able to like really scout them only based on like 1 session, probably about like 2 games. So I mean, on myself and my assistant coach, Coach Greg, we watched some game film and we were able to get like personnel scout on them. So like based on every individual player, we figured out what their strengths, the weaknesses are, and then as well, there was like they had like different like team plays that we were to like cue in on times, and we kind of like rewatch to kind of like figure out how we're gonna guard each kind of set. So there wasn't like a lot of games we could have watched because it was early in the season, so that was kind of a little bit of a bummer. But I mean, it was good for us because at the end of the day, there were some of those kids that, they were good. They were good. They were really good to watch beforehand, instead of just like kind of getting thrown into the fire and seeing them.
So let's talk a little bit about your process with, you're only watching the one, maybe two games, and you're looking for traits of individual players, and then you're also looking for some sets in there. Do you create anything like a paper scout, or are you just you and your coach talking about what you want to do, and then you're verbally conveying this stuff to the guys?
So no, so we actually created like a paper scout. So we actually just did like, it was like a picture. Besides their picture, it was like, okay, this was their score. This guy likes to go downhill, and then we gave like different little like time clips. So we
Right.
ended up giving the game film to the guys. So
Yeah.
like, for example, remember there's this one kid, Garrett Anderson. He's like a 6'7" kid, athletic. He could shoot it. So there's a clip where he was going downhill and he dunked on a guy. So
Right.
we cued in that clip onto the players so them understand, like, well, this is an athlete. Yeah, he's a little bit skinny, but hey, he goes and he'll try to dunk on you. Actually, in the game, I
Right.
think he had a East Bay on us, literally fast break. I was like, damn. So he was really an athlete. He was really an athlete.
Love it. And then when you're conveying that stuff, you said you're giving them a paper copy. How's that film being sent to them? Or do you
So
just show
I
them?
just literally, no, we had like a group chat. I just give them the link. So like they were able to watch. So I always make them like kind of watch it by themselves. I don't want to like literally like tell them everything. I make them watch it by themselves. They gave me their feedback. Then I give them the paper scout to kind of see what myself and Coach Greg, what we saw.
Like it. And that video clip, how long would that be?
I mean, so I give them the actual whole game, the same game that we watched.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then later I just like I timestamp certain like clips so they can like kind of go back, watch it. Or what is Coach Stash talking about? They'll see like 9 minutes and 32 seconds.
Right.
Then I'll say like, oh, this clip, it came off a double stagger, hit a three. So they kind of like see the play and see the guy that could actually shoot the ball that he can really do it.
Right. And then what would practice for that week or the weeks before look like? Like, let me ask this first. How much time is there between the sessions? You got me, Dash? Sorry.
It's about I can't hear you. It's about like a month, like every, like for us, like we only did we were only doing like 4. So for us, it was like about like every month. So we had like a good solid 2 weeks to prepare probably because like I said, like they played maybe 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before.
Right.
And then we then watch the game, get the scout. So we only gave them about maybe 2 weeks, a week and a half where we were able to like kind of prep for these 2 games that we had that session.
So what would you be focusing on during those 2 weeks? Do you adjust what you do based upon your scout, or are you more of like, I'm really going to focus on me and, try and dictate what they're doing?
So overall, so like when I was like going over like in our preseason training camp, I kind of taught them like a little bit of everything. So like for example, like so for ball screen coverages, I taught them how to safety, how to ice, how to blitz. Because I told them it's all based on whatever player we're playing against.
Right.
If we're gonna play a shooter, right? We might ice, we might blitz him, right? Make sure he doesn't just come off it easily. If he's a slasher, we might ice him. So I kind of always give them all those scenarios. So now, like for example, their point guard, he wasn't really a shooter. He was more like going downhill, making plays. I think he's like top 5 in the grind of assists. Didn't really shoot the ball, right? So I said we're gonna ice him. So we already like kind of practiced it beforehand all the months. So it's more just making them understand that, hey, when this guy's coming off the ball screen, make sure you know the ice. I mean, I am dealing with high school kids, so it's not as easy as I make it sound like, but that's kind of how I went about it, for example.
I like it. And then what did you specifically identify as your advantages for this game? What did you think you were going to really try and do and try and make them adjust to?
So I thought to start, I thought I was going to be able to like kind of push the tempo on them early. And then once they adjusted that, I was going to be able to go into our sets because they'll just be running off all of our staggers, all of our screens. So that's what I thought was going to be able to happen. I mean, I remember in the game, they threw a lot of like double teams at us randomly. So that kind of like disrupted our flow and our half court offense. So, I mean, that was my plan. I thought we were going to be bigger than them. I mean, their forwards are a little bit skinnier. They're more just athletes. So I thought we were going to be able to like kind of punch it inside a lot, kind of go downhill, not shoot so much.
Right. I like that. What do you? It's interesting that you mentioned that because I did actually feel that they had a lot of aggressive ball screen and ball pressure in this game. What do you do to sort of cancel, their pick and roll coverage or to attack really aggressive defenders? What are sort of like your teaching points that you give your guys?
So I normally just tell them just go. I go, end of the day, if a guy's gonna pressure you, you could literally attack them. I mean, be prepared for the bump, because now you could just bump back, survey the floor, and then you could re-attack. So I actually, like, to me, I have like a really good point guard, Sean Blake. And
Yep.
like, he's young. It was his first time ever playing in the grind, but he was able to kind of maintain that speed, maintain that aggression. I mean, he was going too fast at times where he forgot to read, but I feel like the pressure didn't really disrupt him. It did speed him up, but didn't
Right.
really disrupt him as much, which I liked. And even as well, my backup point guard, Jamar Bird, same thing. He was able to get in, not get too much. Like, we did pretty good. I mean, it was just that double, those random doubles, like, oh, it hurt us. It really hurt us. Like, I seen it
It
coming
was
as the coach,
interesting.
but no, they're in the win, so they couldn't really see it coming.
Right. It's a bit disruptive. What did you say about your backup
Oh,
point
sorry, say
guard
again.
there? What did you say about your backup point guard there? Your internet went out a little bit right as you were describing that.
Oh no, my backup point guard, I feel like he was really able to get downhill. Like, you'll see, like, in the second half, he was really attacking, getting to the free throw line, able to just come off ball screens and just turn the corner. So I thought he came off the bench and did really well. I think I outstarted him second half and really kept him going.
I like it. So here's a question for you. And based on like rotations and all that, are you doing anything to script out your rotations before the game? Or are you doing it sort of on feel when you're in the game?
Well, like, normally we just, like for example, like on our ball screen coverages, like I always, because especially because we're playing Americans, so these guys can really jump. They're very athletic. So I was
Sorry,
more,
Dash. Let me interrupt you. I don't mean rotations on the floor. Forgive me. I mean rotations of players
oh,
when they're getting into the game,
oh,
when you're pulling guys out and that kind of stuff. Do you plan sort of like your subbing pattern going in,
oh no,
or
I
are you
don't.
doing a lot of it on feel as to like what the game needs?
Yeah, I more go based on like feeling what the game needs. I mean, end of the day, I to me, I can't really predict on how they're gonna play today. They're kids. It's not college level guys, so they're not as consistent as I would like. So it's basically, I just look at them based on what you're doing today at this game.
Like it. So the reason that I asked this question though, and I mean, every coach is a little bit different about their substitution patterns, and I respect all that. The reason I asked this question is when you're doing your preparation, do you give all of your guys the details on every player, or do they know who their specific matchup is going to be, and then they have to focus more on their particular matchup?
So I give them all. They all get it. They all look at all the matchups just in case they switch. But there's like certain key guys I'll talk to individually and let them know, like, hey, you're gonna be guarding this guy a lot. Like, for
Right.
example, like DeShawn Blake. Like, I know he's gonna be in the game a little bit longer than other guys. So I'm more talking to him and let him understand, like, hey, if you want to go under this ball screen, I'm not telling you to, but if you have to, based on the moment, it's all right. He's not gonna shoot it. Right. I might tell this other guy, like, hey, if you feel like you have to deny a little bit more and not be in the gap, I understand he's really good on the ball. So there's like a couple of key guys I'll talk to individually, let them
Right.
understand, like, hey, do this because this guy will go at us.
Right. For sure. Um, Let me ask you this. I often wonder this. Down there, I think it was two 16-minute halves is what you were playing with a
Yes,
30-second shot clock.
yes.
Does this ever bother, disrupt your coaching pattern where, like, when you play up here, you're playing a different game than when you're playing down there? And what sort of coaching adjustments do you make based
Well,
upon that?
I mean, the number one adjustment, I'm not gonna lie, I figured it out after this session, is that do not go to America and try to play fast. That's for sure. I realized that because when we're down here, I got a couple of athletes, so pushing the ball, playing in transition is good for us. But going down there, they mastered that. They
Yeah.
mastered pushing the ball, hitting secondary, going downhill, hitting those drifts. Like they mastered it. So for guys like us, I feel like we're a little bit better in the half court, we're a little bit more patient, calm, ball movement. Definitely, like that's definitely one thing I definitely learned, that I gotta go down there and play no more Canadian style basketball, move the ball a little bit more and over execute. Cause yeah, playing fast with those guys, nah, not it.
Well, I think it depends, of course, on the opponent for sure, but my experience has been what you describe as well. You know, you're going to a track meet with Mike says that made him laugh. You know, you're going to a track meet with guys who know how to run. It's not like you're showing up and you're going to catch them by surprise with pace of play. A lot of those guys have been playing fast for a large percentage of their life. And you know, a lot of Canadian coaches who do listen to this show as well often forget that, like, you know, when we go to these kinds of events, you're dealing with top players, and America has 10 times the population that we do. So top players have had 10 times the amount of experience that our guys have a lot of the time, right? So you have to think the game a little bit more for sure. That being said, so, you know, you guys travel, you get down there, you play a couple other games, the whole schedule's set before. Talk to me about the time from the previous game to this game. What are you doing with your guys? What are you, you know, what are you going through in between games? Or do I have it wrong? Was this the first game in the session for you?
So this was actually our second game in this session.
Right. So you go in knowing who you're going to play. Talk to me about this time in between. You know, how are you bringing them away from the first game and getting them to focus on the second game?
Well, in comparison to that first game, so I remember our first game we played, it was Denver Prep. We played an ESPN #2 kid. It was like a little bit opposite of this Phoenix game. Like that game was like more about bigs and forwards. Well, this game was more about guards and some wings. So
Right.
I told them, hey, short-term memory, but great basketball players have short-term memories. Forget about that game. Like
Right.
that game is gonna be different from this game. So
Right.
forget about it. Like it's over. And
Right.
I kind of them understand, like, you know, I felt like they kind of got hit by the wind. They went in, they didn't understand that this is not Canada, this is the grind session. So I could tell that kind of like bothered them a little bit. So I kind of we just literally forgot about that game and just prepped for the second game. I remember we had a team meeting in the room.
Yep.
And we just ran over our scout and focused on what we got to do to beat these guys now.
Love it. And then let's talk a little bit about in-game here. What are your strategies on things like how many guys to the offensive glass? You mentioned you want to play fast, but, you know, like, what are your strategies on, like, how many possessions you're trying to aim for in a game? And, you know, just all these little intricacies of when you're in game, like how long before you're willing to throw an audible from the game plan? What are you looking for feedback wise from your guards? You know, describe the in-game process for Coach Dash.
So the in-game process. So I always try to like stick to our script, of course, like in the beginning. So our beginning script was it is push the ball. Let's try not to run sets early. It's kind of like feel out who we're going to be playing against, right? And then again, like I really love my guards. I played guard myself, so I really I feel like I'm playing with them. So I always speak to my guards that don't understand, like, yo, what's going on? Like, what do you see out there? And then they would like give me that feedback, and then I would like help them adjust. I know I'm always looking for like mismatches based on matchups. Like I'll see like my guards going downhill, attacking certain guys. I'll kind of try to finesse a certain set where he's able to do that again, because I feel like, yo, that's the matchup we want.
Right.
And yeah, I kind of like stick to my script defensively. I try not to flip the script defensively, because again, I'm dealing with younger kids. To kind of like change that stuff in game kind of throws them off. I'm more focused on those adjustments offensively as much as I can.
So I myself was a guard. You're a better player than I was. But I love the fact that you're consistently back and forth with your guys, because, you know, it changes out there, right? Like there's different things that players that are on the floor are going to see that we're going to not see, and vice versa. How many to the offensive glass? What's your strategy on that?
Well, three. I always go 3 guys, 2 guys safety. You guys got to be at half court.
Love it. Uh, at halftime, what are things that are on a box score that stand out to you? What do you like if you get stats? What are you looking for right away? And what's most important to you on those sheets?
So right away, I look at rebounds, turnovers, and the other team's field goal percentage. So I remember, I could be wrong about this, but I remember at halftime, the most surprising stat I saw that but we were winning the rebound battle. So that where I was like, okay, how are we winning the rebound battle and we're losing? Like, what's
Yeah,
going on? We're getting killed. And then I saw that the other team's field goal percentage was ridiculously high. It was like at 58%.
yeah,
So I was like, okay. I remember at that halftime interview, I was telling the the reporter that, hey, our closeouts gotta be way better
yeah.
because they were hitting at like a high, like the clip didn't even make sense. Like it was like literally like 58%, 60% at halftime. Like they just weren't missing. So I'm like, it has to be our closeouts, has to be our on ball, our primary defense. And then the other stat was in turnovers. Right, I always tell my guards like, hey, basketball is worth $1 million. Don't turn that basketball over. And I believe our turnover was pretty high. It was about like 13 already at halftime.
Right.
So it made sense now. We're winning the rebound battle. We are getting some stops, but we're not getting enough shots up. And if we do,
Well,
we're probably missing.
yeah. So what does that halftime look like with Coach Dash? Like, what are you going in there saying? What's actionable that you can change? Are you a yeller and a screamer? Are you stern? Are you, calm and just letting them know? How does that look like with you?
Well, at halftime, I'm a high energy coach. I'm always high intensity all the time. Because to me, I feel like when I'm high intensity, it kind of feed off of me. It lets them understand that like no matter what it is, I'm not giving up on you guys. That we can still win this game. So I'm always high energy with them, and then letting them know like what we're doing and what we're not doing,
Right.
and really what we're not doing, and let them understand like, hey, if we make these adjustments based on what we're not doing, this game is different, and kind of like let them focus on like, okay, we're doing this, let's keep doing that. Let's not stop. Let's keep doing that, but we're not doing this. So I remember I was letting them understand, hey, we're rebounding well. Let's keep doing that. But
Right.
then I was really on my guards, like, yo, we're turnovering the ball. Your guys are being selfish. You're not kicking out. We got our shooter there. He's not even taking any shots. And I felt like that's why we dug ourselves in the hole. And then I told him, I go, guys, like we're attacking the rim, but you're not bumping before you're going up. So you're leaving that gap. So you're just getting blocked every time. So like that's what I was like really, really about. Like I was really like, to me, again, I played guard. So I really put a lot of pressure on my guards. I let them understand, like, hey, you got the ball in your hand. So to me, it's like, it's your fault. Like, come on, do better, be better. You're a leader.
I like it. Uh, what about on the bench? You mentioned you have an assistant coach.
Mhm.
Are you guys tracking anything while you're live in game, or do you want your coaches coaching? Like, what's sort of your philosophy on that, and what's important to you when you're on the sideline watching?
So I do have so in when we travel, one of my coaches actually couldn't make it, and he's the one that mainly tracks those kind of things. So I didn't have that, but the other assistant coach that I did have, I make it more focused on like keeping our bench energy high, keeping them focused, keeping them engaged, more kind of a thing. Because when I'm throwing them into the fire, I don't want them to feel like they just got in. To me, you are in the game. You're on the bench. You know what's going on. By the time you go in, you should be better than the guy I'm taking out.
That's interesting. And the reason that I say that's interesting is one of the clips that I pulled from this game is, excuse me, one of the guys we know in common, Adrian, plays for you. Obviously, I did a little bit of training with Adrian, and he came in right off the bench and he ran a set for him right away. So
Mhm.
we'll talk about it when we get to the video, but that's interesting, and I like it because I'm of the same viewpoint as a coach. Like, you should be involved, you should be helping the players on the floor, you should be noticing things the same way that we are as a coaching staff.
Mhm.
Um, so when you're going to say like a halftime or during the game, when that coach gives you feedback, how do you take that in the moment and try to actually change things during the game?
Well, I mean, when I'm being told feedback, I hear like obviously I still have my own viewpoint on certain things, but at the end of the day, when I have an assistant coach telling me certain things, for example, I think there was one point he was letting me know that, oh, like let's say like this guy's tired. like for example, and I'll hear him out like, okay, this guy's tired, he needs a sub, but he's doing well right now. I'd rather just keep him in because I don't know if I'm gonna get that same kind of energy back from this guy I'm about to put in the game. So
Right.
I listen, but I still kind of make my decision based on what I'm seeing and kind of put it together and have a final conclusion on what he's saying.
Like it. Post game, this particular one you guys didn't end up getting,
Mhm.
and there's more games in the session. So I
Mhm.
imagine you go through the same process in between those games of trying to forget the past, move on to the future, deliver your scout, etc. When this is all done, do you do anything where you review, what your scouting process was and how the game played out versus what your game plan was, and sort of put that together and evaluate yourself?
So this you're saying this is like after the game, I'm in the hotel kind of a thing, right?
Or even, at a later time when you come back, do you do anything where you're evaluating what you're giving the kids
Mhm.
and how accurate it is, and whether those wins or losses are coming from the execution of the game plan, or if there's a discrepancy among the two?
Well, to be honest, I'm always hard on myself. I always kind of blame myself, to be honest. Like I always look at it as like it was my fault because I'm the one that's leading my chess pieces. That's what I always like
Right,
to say.
right,
So at the end of the day, I made the wrong move. Like, there was something I did that I should never done. I pulled this guy out too soon. I put him in too late. I said this kid can't shoot. He was shooting. Like I always put the blame on myself because at the end of the day, like I'm the leader. I'm the captain of the ship. So
right.
it has to be my fault. We didn't win. It has to be my fault. Yeah, it's a performance based sport on the players, but at the end of the day, there's always something that I could do better to get us into victory. Like that's how I look at it.
Love it. Uh, in terms of questions, I'm basically through all of them. I'm ready to move into some film unless any of the coaches on the call have anything. Looks like we're good. Dash, I'm gonna pull up the film. You can
Okay.
see that, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I could see it.
All right, I got 14 clips, I think, from this game. As I said, I'll go through, I'll play each one a couple times just in case anybody's listening instead of watching so that they can see. When we go through,
Okay.
this playback speed is okay for you? It's smooth for you?
No, this is all right.
All right, perfect. So here's our first clip. We'll let it run, and then I'll try to go through with a description in the second time for anybody who's listening. This is the first play of the game. Uh, so we'll go back to the beginning here. First play of the game, we win the tip. We go to the offensive left slot. We set up. We've got a wing entry and a swing into the corner, empty side pick and roll. And then we got a drive, outside drive, gets kicked to the second side. So drive kick. And then he attacks from the corner, has nothing, gives it up to the slot. Outside drive again, spin back middle, little shot off the board. We do come away with the offensive rebound. The putback's no good and they bust out. So talk to me about
Mhm.
your play call, what you see in terms of what you actually ran versus your play call, if there's a discrepancy, and just talk to me about like what you wanted to establish first play of the game.
Well, I always like throwing the first punch. That's for sure. I always like throwing the first punch, kind of letting them understand that we're here. And I also like, as you can see, like everyone touching the ball first play, so everyone feels involved right away. Right. This to me, this looks typical of our first play all the time. Everyone, the ball is moving. We attack the paint. We get a kick out. I mean, I
Right,
probably would have wanted my shooter to shoot that ball, but he just didn't catch the ball properly. But
right,
he normally starts us off with a three, probably like every game. It's kind of crazy. He normally shoots this and it goes in.
right, right. And then in terms of like baseline attacks, spin backs, and all that, do you have anything built in your teaching in terms of like quality of shot or what shots you're trying to get initially? How does this shot rate for you in terms of what you're getting?
Well, for me, it's like a C minus. I mean, I always tell, especially this guard in particular, like not to get so deep. I'd rather you shoot the pull up. I'd rather you shoot the floater because you're gonna rush if you get
Right.
all the way deep. I would have rather him maybe kick out to the other guy or like I always tell him like don't go so deep. Like you're not that tall. He's only like 5'10". He's not that tall.
Right. And then Parker gets this offensive rebound. Do you have any rules on offensive rebounding? Like, do you tell your guys, go up for your layup every time? Do you tell them, look to the 3-point line? Do you have anything in place in
Well, I
terms?
normally always tell them when we get that offensive rebound, go up strong right away because I always say we're either gonna make it, we're gonna miss it, we're gonna get fouled. I go, I like
Right.
those odds better than you passing it and turning it over. I don't believe my forwards are the best passers, so I feel like just be aggressive, go up, take contact, be physical.
Love it. Next clip, we got, I think, their first play, and they come down, they attack the offensive right slot, swing the ball back up to the point, and sort of get set up. It's an up the gut cut where it's touch action, it's pass back. You guys sort of double towards the ball. You're on the line, up the line on the strong side, like really high up. We get a pass to the corner. And this kid did this about 3 times in a row, play after play after play here, where he's shot fake to the rim and gets a little finger roll on it. So talk to me about how you defended it, what you think they're looking to establish, if you would do anything different, all those fun things.
Well, I mean, as you said already, how we defended it, right? We doubled it. We doubled the handoff, the show kind of show and go.
Yeah.
We always have a stun on the ball, and then we always try to go back and always try to have help side early. I mean, in this, based on what I teach, I could tell that Sean Blake, he was too high in the gap.
Right.
He was just way too high in the gap. I always tell him, yeah, behind the gap, but you still got to see your man see ball because you don't want to do that. You don't want to chase. And then as you see our help side guy, which is the shooter in the far corner, he left. He didn't even move, he didn't come over. Right. I understand why he never came over because he was guarding Garrett, the Garrett Anderson kid, who I believe was their best player. So I to me, I guess he took it as I don't want to leave him open. I don't want to get him going early. Right. So that's how I look at it. But definitely I just look at it as like it came from that stunt. We didn't need a stunt that high because we to get this long closeout.
Right. What about this cut on the backside here? Let me bring up the annotation. How would you typically defend this cut in here? Because you said your low man is this gentleman here.
Yes.
I gathered from what you're saying, typically you would help from him
Yes.
instead of from here.
Yes.
So if you're helping from him and they make this cut, where does your help come from on the cut? Who should be taking that for you typically?
So it's our second line. I normally make our second line helper guy. So it would be the guy that's right beside him. His name is Aaron, this forward.
Yep.
He would bump that cutter. He would bump that putter because he would be guarding too. So always make him bump the cutter so he could kind of gradually see. Then he would talk to the guy, oh, he's going all the way through. But I would make him bump the cutter. I want my help guy to focus on helping. I always tell him, like, I have this like do your job system. If you work at McDonald's, if you're flipping the fries and the burgers are burning, hey, you got to flip the fries because no one that's not your job over there with the burgers.
Right. I love it. I like the analogy. That's good. Next one. This is, I have 2 of this play. They're wrinkles with it, but this was definitely a set that I felt you guys used a lot. My notes say play after play, pace, execution. So those are sort of like what I wanted to ask you about. But basically what this set is the ball's at the trail or the point, whatever you want to call it. Almost looks like a 1-3-1 to begin in terms of the orientation. There's a wing entry. There's a UCLA cut. And then there's a reversal through the big who pops off of the nail. And then you go flow concept, middleman through, come in and get the ball reversed. And then it turns into spread, pick and roll. So you've got the gentleman who came off the UCLA has exited to the offensive left side. He's going to be your shake. And now we're looking to attack. They actually switch under and you advance the ball and get a kind of a contested wing 3. So talk to me about this. Talk to me about what you see. If you like the way you guys ran it, just give me an idea of what you see in here.
Well, so this play call is called, it's our TTL. It's our TTL play call, right? So the objective of it is to get the help side forward outside of the keys. That's why we have one of the forward tied. So now he's not in the key. And in the opposite forward, we push him through. That way he's not really helping, right? I don't like this because no paint touches. I always tell my guard, you got to get a paint touch. Like you got to really turn this corner right here. He kind of floated right there. Like you have to turn this corner and make this safety guy coverage more uncomfortable. Like to me, I would have rather him pulled it out and attacked him one-on-one than make this pass, especially knowing your personnel. Like I already know if this shooter gets the ball, he's going to shoot it. Like I know this. So like you didn't create for him to shoot, but you know he's going to shoot it.
Right.
So I didn't like that. Again, I always put all the pressure and the blame on my guards, because to me, you're the extension of the coach. Like it was your job to get deeper, so he can now go into the paint and stop you to get this driving kick. And to me, you didn't do your job.
One
You
thing
didn't come
I
out
really
hard.
noticed. Sorry, go ahead, Dash. I
Oh no,
interrupted.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say one thing I really noticed was on this middleman through cut, how much Aaron actually missed this cut.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if we watch this and we go like a frame by frame type deal here, look at how open, like the pull after the UCLA pulls the low man out, and that's a pretty open cut that gets missed right there. But then also on the switch, uh, I don't know. Give me some teaching points on what you're telling your bigs if they're guard forward switching in terms of your guys going to the rim. Are you trying to punch the ball, or are you trying to, like you said, have the guard attack the big? What's sort of your philosophy on that?
Well, I always, and again, I love all my guys, but I know my players. I know them. And I would always rather my guard go downhill, because I know with this particular player, Aaron, his hands are the greatest. Right. So I know, like, if he to throw this bounce pass or lob pass over, he might have not catch it. I know, like, down low one-on-one, he's not the greatest with this
Mm-hmm.
particular player. So I would more rather him drive, get it where all he has to do is just catch and go up. So I know I see that mismatch there, but to us, it's not a mismatch. It's not.
I hear you.
It's not.
Defending. I call this set Horn's chest. This is ball screen, flare screen action.
Okay.
So I recognize Parker on the ball here. This gentleman attacks left. They miss the first screen. You show the screen defender, who then comes off of a flare screen, and there's no forward switch. Ends up in a catch and shoot for the open three, which they don't make. You come away with the rebound. Talk to me about how you want to defend this action, and how you actually defended it comparatively.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would have rather it this be a safety coverage by Sean, and then he's chasing over that flare, and then Aaron will just stunt and go back. I don't really want too many switches. So right there, then Sean should have just chased it out. But as you can see, he got stuck right there. He got flat-footed and he
Right.
got stuck. And then he didn't even see the flare coming. And then Aaron didn't even stun. To me, if he stunned that pass right there, he doesn't shoot it. Now Sean
Right.
can now get in front of it.
Right.
But
So for anybody who might not know, what do you mean by a safety coverage? When the ball handler is going left, this would be like a show. This would be an up to touch. What do you
yeah,
mean by
sure.
a safety coverage?
So safety coverage just be like a flat. So he'll be flat just to show. And then normally that guard would actually go under. He would even go over. He would go under. And then the other guy that showed safety will just go back.
Got it. And with the stunt, if they start slipping out, do you keep the stunt going, or do you tag from somewhere else on the floor? What's your
Well,
teaching?
that's the adjustment if they were to make it. So I look at it as like it's like chess. So it's like, okay, we do this until you now slip it. We'll keep stunning until you slip. And then
Like,
once you slip, then I might tell them don't stunt now. Because now they might throw that pass and then you go steal it anyways.
right. Next clip, I've got this is one of your baseline out of bounds, and this is the set that I was talking about. So
Okay.
we got Adrian here, who I think's a heck of a player, coming in off the bench right now. Comes through in an elevator to the ball side, but this gentleman just got in the game, right? He's coming off the bench. So talk to me about, first of all, the execution of the set, the quality of the shot, but then also talk to me about your personal philosophy, which you touched on, in terms of, being able to come into the game and being expected to perform right away. So for anybody who's watching, we come through an elevator to the ball side and we shoot a semi-contested three, nothing to it execution wise. But I like the set overall. I think it gets you a pretty good shot. Talk to me.
Well, I mean, end of the day, it was a great set. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I called this, I thought Carlton would have went through just based on the fact like Carlton, you've been in the game, you're a starter. I would have just assumed you would have went through. But these guys really do trust each other. They look at Adrian as he's a really good knockdown shooter. But my philosophy is exactly what you said. You just got in the game. Like if you could make this shot coming off the bench, kudos to you. But in my brain, you will never make a shot like this right coming right off the bench. It's almost impossible. Like you're just coming into the win, your feet's not even warm, you didn't even get that first win yet. Like this, like to me, you should have then at least pump fake drive left, go to the rim hard. Like to me, that's how your first shot should be. This is my opinion.
Talk to me about wrinkles of this set. So you mentioned you thought somebody else would go through. This actually looks like it's a back screen on the box set to begin with that he
Mhm.
rejects and goes through. So talk to me about like options that you've put in and whether the guys are allowed to read and react or whether you're actually calling the options in it.
Well, so this is our Alabama baseline set. So I know overall they always look at this as, hey, we're gonna shoot this because normally they normally are open out of it. But right, so it's literally it starts off with them just coming together and then one of them choosing who's gonna go through the elevator. It shuts through. He gets the ball. And once he gets the ball, if he shoots it, he shoots it. If he doesn't, the bottom guy will now post up. So number 51, now he would just post up. The inbounder would go through away. The opposite guy that didn't go through the elevator will now come ball side and then get a ball screen. Will now get a ball screen now with the opposite guy who closed the elevator, and then it's a roll replace action.
Like it. I think we got a couple defending clips in a row that are a few mismatches. So don't get an eye twitch. Don't take it out on me. First one is a defending set. This is a horn set that they clear out the strong side corner, and you just get a straight line drive to the rim, no or late help, and a left-handed layup at the rim. Talk to me about, at this point in the game, what you're thinking when you see this, how you make corrections. Do you sub based upon performance? Just talk to me this overall. What's your coaching philosophy on these kinds of errors?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like these errors, they get me. Yeah, these errors are definitely the okay. It seems like you don't want to win,
Right.
and I gotta get you out the game. I probably subbed him to be honest, and like there's a reason why he's on my point guard on the opposite team's point guard. Like Jaden Parker, he's a forward. He's a 6'6" forward, strong, played football. To me, he's one of my best defenders. So seeing this, it's either you're tired, the wind's getting you, or there's a couple of possessions before where maybe you weren't involved and you're upset and you don't want to play defense. And to me,
Right.
you're not trying to win. Like to me, you have to sit down, recollect your thoughts, and get ready to come back to this game because, like to me, this should not happen with Jaden. I know this guard is really good. He's a good player. He's probably a Division I player, but Jaden could really defend. And seeing this, it's like there's no way. There's no way on earth you don't hear screens and you're not gonna flip it, hip go on his hip. So now we can now go our blitz coverage.
Are you influencing the ball in one direction or another?
No,
Like, are you like a sideline baseline guy or send middle guy, or is this just a straight blow by?
straight blow ball. I'm a turn guy. I'm a kind of guy that I always tell these guys, hey, you gotta turn them in the half court 3 times at least. I know when I was at York, I'll pick up guys full court and just try to turn them, make them
Right.
uncomfortable to get the ball at their hands
Right.
because you're the point guard. Obviously, there's a reason why you're bringing the ball up. So if you could turn that guy twice, 3 times, he's gonna feel like he's dribbling too much. He's gonna give it up. And now, to me, we won. Now we won that chess battle. So seeing this is it was like, oh, there's no way.
And talk to me about where help comes from on a horn set for you. Horns are always difficult. Obviously, you see right here, Aaron, number 51, coming off of the forward a little bit. And then you also see the strong side that emptied, the guard that was guarding him. I believe it was Adrian,
No call.
coming over really late, getting in the circle. In an ideal world against the horn set on this kind of error, where do you want to be helping from?
Well, I mean, it would be that the guy that tried to contest number 45 coming over super early outside of the where the block area is. But again, like I'm putting more of the blame on Jaden because based on this horn set, which we actually scouted out, we actually scouted this set, and we
Right.
specifically said, "Hey, we're gonna blitz it. We're gonna blitz these." So Jaden now should have now cut off that drive and ended up on his hip. So now Aaron could have now blitzed it out. So now we avoid that second horn screen, and it ends up just being that one primary screen, and now that second screen's out of the picture. So Aaron going over late, he went over late because he wasn't expecting Jaden to get blow by. He's expecting him to go on his right hip, so he could now blitz out, do his job.
Right. Another defending play. This one is, an emphasis, a point of emphasis for them, and an interesting action. I had to include it, Coach. Sorry. So you get Parker guarding the ball. You get a punch on the offensive left side of the floor. We've rooted them out. We've done a good job. But then they run a grenade action, which I think is really rare in high school. So this is an uphill handoff from the post to a guard or forward cutting over top. And then they roll the post out to the middle and throw the lob. And, there's no tag of the roller. This is a beautiful set. Talk to me about, do you have this scouted and how you want to defend it ideally?
So yes, I did have it scouted. That's why this play, like if you could hear me in the background, you hear me yelling it out because as soon as I saw the ball with the post, I already seen this coming. I already knew the lob was going to happen. This is something
Right.
that we scouted based on the timestamp. So I seen it coming, and we literally said that we're just going to keep that guard going under. So now the big man can now just stay. That was the whole purpose of it. But you see
And,
Sean coming over. You see my big Aaron trying to stay, but he goes over to help. Sean didn't go under. He went over, and that was literally what I said we're not doing that.
so with this particular player, when you have this scouted, you're willing to concede that sort of mid-range step back, right? So you want
Exactly.
this guy coming under so that this guy can stay home,
Exactly.
and then you're willing to give up this shot in here, basically.
Exactly. That's to me. I thought to me out of like that was a shot I was willing to give up. That contested step back or mid range pull up that
Right.
Sean could have contested easy. But I
And
knew
then,
if he went over it, he's just programmed to help. And I knew this would happen.
right. And what about tagging this? Like, I mean, this guy's calling for this as soon as 51 leaves to go challenge the ball. He knows that he's getting his lob. What about the tagging? Do you have any sort of rules on this guy coming over tagging? I remember when we were at York, we used to always say his head or the ball, and we would say that on tagging, and we would say this on like front and deny type deal, or front and lob, whatever you want to call it. Do you have any sort of rules, or are you just kind of saying like, hey man, you're not as athletic, get out of the way, don't end up on a poster?
No, so he was supposed to take away, and then Adrian Moore is supposed to drop down and have two, and then
Right.
Jaden's supposed to stay high.
Yep.
But again, he's seen it coming and said, "Oh, I'm getting out of the way."
Yeah. That's not going to be me. Sorry.
Yeah, cameras are right there. There's two cameras right there. That's not gonna be me.
Like it. The next one I think is they're running double or 77 or a double drag, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
And then my note is the closeout. So I'm assuming there's a closeout in here. I expect you to comment on. Basically, they go offensive left slot to offensive right slot. They don't really get anything out of the double because the guard is unable to force your defender down.
Mhm.
Coming the second way, they get a little bit of a piece. So they roll the second, they pop the first. In rolling the second and popping the first, we can see here, you show off of the roller,
Mhm.
and then the popper, you're also in a deep drop.
Mhm.
So creates a really long closeout. He does kind of get back and contest, but it's enough of a closeout to bother. Talk to me in an ideal world. How would you want to guard this double action?
So to be honest, this is exactly how we plan to guard this double action. I said that we were gonna give up the three with the big. I said I was more focused on protecting the paint because I knew they were athletes. So based on how we practice it, this is exactly it. Show so the guard doesn't turn the corner, right? the guy that's guarding the pop, make sure you protect the roller, and then hard close out to the shooter. That's literally like how we practiced it. I said I was willing to give up this contested three from the big.
Like it. So in terms of that, then this creates a long closeout. Is that where you want to close out from? And that being said, talk to me a little bit about what you teach in terms of closeouts. Does he do a good job of getting out there, in your opinion?
No, so I'm actually big on closing out so where the guy is not able to shoot. So again, like, I'm really more big on like giving up these mid range, right? A lot of coaches don't even like their players shooting mid range. So I'm more big on like, hey, force this guy to shoot that pull up, close out so hard that he can't shoot it, and then try to cut him back off, be on his hip, where he's thinking step back shot. He'll see help, so he won't go to the rim. So he's thinking in between game.
Right.
So Ethan, he kind of closed out short. That's why the big was able to get that shot off.
So you're a hard runoff guy, basically.
Yeah.
And that would be for everyone. Just saying that, like, you think that the catch and shoot three hurts you more than that in between game does.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah, I think I would tend to agree with you. What did the I was at I think it was the Raptors 905 camp, and the coach said to me, he goes, there's no help on an uncontested three.
Yeah.
Meaning basically, like, if you run off and you get beat because you're hard running off and you even go by the guy or whatever, that's okay, we can rotate. But an uncontested three is just an uncontested three. Like, you've done nothing and given up on the play.
Yeah, I like that.
Next one, we move into one of your offensive sets. This is a sideline out of bounds. Dash, obviously you're a proponent of elevator actions. So this is a pin screen to the top. We don't catch and shoot. And what I found interesting was I thought he drove back to where the defender came from. He does manage to blow by him. I also found it interesting that 49 seals his own. We get a little in between. We don't end up making it. 49 gets the rebound put back. Talk to me about what you see. Talk to me about what you teach in this kind of set. Talk to me about wrinkles, all that kind of stuff.
Well, so it is the elevator, but where Sean kind of messed up was right here. If he doesn't shoot the ball, he's supposed to now drag it out to the left side. It's supposed to be a double ball screen. So again, a roll to a pop.
Like it. So there is a stacking of actions. So if you don't get it, you're right into double ball screen and rolling the first and popping the second, or vice versa.
Yes, you're right.
So when he doesn't do it, the sealing of his own by number 45, do you teach that, or is that just a good basketball play that he's making?
To be honest, he does that himself. I don't teach him that. That's him. He actually does that probably like a couple times every game. That's him. That's his IQ. Like, I see it often. I don't teach him that at all.
Oh, he's 49, not 45. My apologies.
49.
But
yes.
Yeah, and then the float, the in between game. Dash, I saw you play a lot. I know you're teaching this. Give me some of your teaching points on that in between for him. What should he be looking at? What's he trying to do? Just get it over the defender, or get it on the glass, or what are you telling these guys for that in between?
Well, based on this right here, like I would have told him, like, and which he did. It was off leg because the defender's on your hip. So off leg because he's on your hip. And I mean, to me, he floated because he seen that athlete that dunked, that blocked, and he floated it. But I would have rathered him to be more aggressive and get to the cup. But to be honest, that is what I teach. Defender's on your hip. You got to go off foot. Don't go 2 foot. Don't go 1-2. You have the advantage. He's on your hip.
I'm just sort of noticing it right now. 49 actually takes two players out of this play. He takes the ball defender out too after he lets go of the guy in behind him. That's a good play. Good for him.
It is. And then he comes back and now it's still aggressive.
And gets the putback,
Yeah, Finn. I really like him. He's a really good player.
Good stuff. Next one we got, this is one of your play calls. This is a horn set that ends up with an empty side ball screen. Talk to me about your penetration principles and options out of this set. For anybody who's listening, we enter to the left forward, and then we get the new strong side, or the original weak side corner clearing out. and we get an over-the-top action by the point guard, which turns into what would have been like empty side ball screen, but he just rejects and drives. And then on this, the gentleman who cut through his defender stayed. So we would have the drift pass open, but we get what I would call a tee up by Aaron. Beautiful drop off, front of the rim, dunks the ball. Talk to me about what you see and how the guys react off of each other and how it actually fits into what you are teaching.
So this is our motion set elbow entry. So this is supposed to be that backdoor cut. Sean's supposed to get over a handoff from the forward. He needs to be a little bit more patient, because I always say, let the forward work, see if he has something. If not, he'll face you back for the handoff. And then it ends up being a two-man game, like just like you said. But to be honest, this pass right here, I was ecstatic because we actually drilled this, where anytime a guard goes baseline, I always say we need our forward middle of the rim. We have our hammer guy or secondary guy in the corner. And then just like how Ethan, the guy who gave the handoff to, you drift over to the corner. So you have your help, your support system. So this to me was perfect. Aaron was right where he needed to be. We had the guy in the corner. The guy in the corner originally lifted up, and Ethan went back to the corner. Like, I could have never drew this up better. This is like perfect. This is exactly how we practice, how we drill it, like literally.
And it should just be like, in my opinion, I know that you drill this. I've seen you do it, but I call it teeing up just because that's what Carlton calls it. I remember it on multiple scouts, but on that baseline drive, the big coming to the front of the rim, like you said, beautiful, makes it a 2-on-1 on this underneath defender, right? Because he's not going to get in the lane to take away the drift or hammer pass, like you said, and also be able to take away the drop off. But I just remember getting killed by Carlton on this pass often, where they drop it off to the front of the rim, and it's like, all right, we're out. But it should be automatic on that baseline drive, just like you said. So I love it. Shout out my man Aaron, who I've done some training with, for getting his little two-piece in there, and nice little set. This one was an interesting one to me. This is a stagger away plus a high-low entry. You didn't run this set very much in the game, and I thought it was interesting, unique. Don't really see it often in terms of the angle of the stagger. So what's happening on the help side almost looks like a pin down or an exchange of players, and then they come into the stagger coming towards the ball. And then off of that, he cuts in behind where it came from, and there is an outside or baseline drive. And then the one forward who was the secondary in the stagger goes to the block, and the first forward that was the first screener in the stagger goes to the elbow, and you get a little high-low. They've obviously overhelped. There's too many players on the ball side of the floor. We missed the high-low entry, and we shoot the three. So talk to me about this set. What's the goal? What are the wrinkles on it? What are you trying to do with it and establish who you're looking to attack?
So again, like, hey, I'm so hard on my guards. I'm so hard on them. But again, I blame my point guard to start, because it's actually supposed to be a triple screen. So it's supposed to be a triple screen for my shooter coming up.
Right.
And then after he comes, so it's either you could ISO him, because obviously it'll be empty for you, or you're patient enough for your shooter to come off the triple screen. And then once that triple screen action happens, it's supposed to be a double screen with those two forwards right there. So number 45 should now be in the corner. Aaron and Jaden now will be sitting a double stagger screen. The other guy would be in the corner. Then he would use it. He doesn't use it. So to be honest, they ended up just playing basketball. So based on like our 4-out principles.
Like it. So let me go back to the beginning of it. Let me see if I've got this right. I'm going to draw a little bit on here. The triple, talk to me about angles. So this is your gentleman who's coming for the shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is your first screen, your second screen, and your third, I'm assuming. Talk to me in an ideal world about angles, because the guy who's guarding your shooter, I would assume, would often be your low man down here.
Mm-hmm.
So do you turn some of these into pinch screens ever? Or like, how does that work to get him open a lot of the time? It's a unique set. I definitely noticed it and was curious to see what you were trying to do there.
So normally it's more about like starting with the patience. Like to me, like my shooter over there in the corner should be in the corner right now, being
Right.
patient, waiting for now his first screener to come, second screener, but he's rushed. Like the third screener didn't even have a chance to move yet. So
Right.
that's like the first error in my opinion. Right. So that's where like the patience, it's all about the patience comes into effect. And when it comes to the angle, it's supposed to be like a curvy line where it's supposed to go right through like the free throw line, where we're like
Right.
the screens are supposed to be set, where he does get the ball at the top of the key.
And then at this point, like you were saying, let me just make sure I got it right. We want 45 going that direction.
Yes.
And then we want first screen coming.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I got the wrong one there. Hang on. Second screen coming from up here.
Yes.
And we're going back in this
Back in
direction.
Yes.
Awesome. Very interesting set, Dash. Where'd you pick that up?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I watched Golden State do this with Stephen Curry. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I see them. I'm like, what? I'm like 3 screens for him. No wonder why he's always open. And then I see them literally come off the 2 stagger one time, flipped it back to Draymond. And I'm like, yeah, this is tough. So I actually got it from them. I'm not gonna lie.
Like it. And then the high-low action, like you said, is just play after play principles.
Yeah, exactly. There's 4
yeah.
principles.
All right, like it. And then this was the frequent set. This was one of the ones in the beginning that I said you ran a few times, but I noticed this was a different option on it. I'm wondering if it's a play call or if it just developed into something different by a read. So we get a offensive left slot entry. We get the UCLA cut still. He goes opposite. We reverse through that big man who set the UCLA as he pops. We continue the reverse and turns into top ball screen, and then it gets twisted because he goes underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And on the twist, you've got a post up underneath. That duck in is that correct timing by 49. And then again, on his post up, he seals his own, and we get a layup out of it. So another heady play by number 49 there. But talk to me about this in terms of options and timing and what you see.
Okay, so yeah, so he goes through, he pops out, he gets the ball. So to be honest, he was supposed to backdoor cut, but he didn't. I guess he sees something that I let them play. So I guess he's seen something why he didn't want to cut. He got the ball. It is supposed to be a twist. I always tell them, if you come off a screen and you don't really do anything, just rescreen it.
Right.
And then anytime it's a rescreen, it's supposed to be a pop. So I don't make my big roll now in that situation. I make him pop out because normally.
And sorry, let me ask a question in there. I'm sorry, Dash.
Yeah.
When he comes off, regardless of coverage, if you have nothing, just twist it every time?
Yeah, just twist it. Because normally if you have nothing, exactly just like you said, you probably went underneath it.
Yeah. And then the drive and the pop is there for Aaron, like you said, and the sealing of his own. Talk to me about this part.
So again, so the pop is there. So the forward that kind of seals, he's now supposed to go to the opposite side of the block. So now his man helps. It has his little dump down in the dunker spot, so he could go and finish. But again, like I said, this is just his own IQ. Like he really feels that he could just seal him out, get his guards laned. And like I said, I don't teach him this at all. This is him. This is his own IQ.
Love it. And then this one was an interesting one. I'm curious to know about your philosophy on helping on the strong side. There's a few points in the game. So you're up, you're into the ball, you're aggressive coverage. It's a right hand outside drive. And we're really on the line, up the line, stunting on it. And then he plays with it a little bit and he tries to come back to that outside drive. And here we are again, stunting at the ball. And still able to close it out and force a bad shot off of the top of the backboard. What are your principles on strong side help? Because a lot of coaches I notice are very much like, no, won't do it. So, tell me what you're thinking.
So I'm more on like this power of 3, where it's like for example, like anytime the ball handler is going at him, he should always see 3 guys: the ball, left gap, right gap. So I'm always about like stunning, quick stunts. So now the guard could like kind of always retreat. I mean, I don't do the whole obviously turn your back situational thing, but I am very big on super stunting, really protecting the house. Like to me, I feel like, hey, the rim is your house. Don't make anyone get close to your house. I don't care what it is. And yes, I know this day and age, kids want to shoot the ball, but I'm always more comfortable about kids shooting these pull-ups. So very hard closeouts. So guys can't shoot. This was a very hard closeout. To me, that's why he ended up rushing and shooting off the side of the backboard. So I actually like this defensive play based on my philosophies.
So you're good with the strong side stunt or even full all out help, as long as you're capable of getting back and shooting that closeout in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you ever, and this is a highly specific question, do you ever veer switch? Or
No,
sorry, excuse me, peel switch, where it's, let me show you what I mean in case, the terminology is strange or whatever. So you've got this coming to help. You've got this going to the corner, peel switching in behind. Do you ever teach that at all?
no, I don't. I actually don't. I kind of like that a little bit, but I don't. I actually don't. I'm more of a more bigger on the stunt and recovering than that peel switch. Because I feel like they would bump into each other and then clear a whole lane or a backdoor cut for a dunk.
So it's becoming more popular in certain places, and I
I like
think
that.
that if I had returned this year, it would definitely have been something that I would have employed. And the reason is, in my opinion, is if this guy gets the defender on his hip
Mhm,
and he's attacking, I think it's quite a bit easier to actually just step fully over and help,
mhm.
and then have this guy, because he was on his hip, just leave from in behind and get out there.
So
And
you don't feel like that corner guy that would get the ball would feel that he would now know, okay, the backdoor cut, and then get that lob into that where the black paint is, and then get a layup.
I do feel that that would happen. I think that if you think about it and compare it, so I've given a lot of thought to this.
Mhm,
If you compare it to a sideline baseline principle, right? Like, so in a sideline baseline principle, let's clear all this. This defender right here, on his recovery, would be influencing still, right? So his chest would be sending the guy in this direction, right?
okay.
You'd agree with that? So it would be the
Yeah.
same thing on the catch. He'd be attacking baseline, which would be what the defense would want, because in an ideal world, this guy is already there.
Mhm.
And then basically he's attacking a shitty area of the floor, right? Like he's getting into a part of the floor where we can trap down, where it's not a high percentage shot if he pulls up and floats, any of that kind of stuff. So
Okay, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense.
I think that the peel switch in essence replicates that, in that this defender is going to move and be here and take the ball. And then this defender who is coming over top and going here will be facing the baseline in that direction and will be sending him on a drive in that direction into this area of the floor, which is the same thing. So, like, if you are the kind of coach who is comfortable playing sideline baseline, which is
Yeah.
what a lot of my background was, both as a player and when I was at York, I think it kind of replicates the same thing, and it's a faster, easier switch. And of course, it becomes scout specific, because if you have a guy in that strong side corner with a quick release who shoots a high percentage, you probably don't want to keep doing that too often, because you're probably just giving him a free shot.
No,
But
I like this. I like this. I kind of feel like you're like controlling the offense. Like you're kind of dictating what the offense is kind of more gonna do.
it,
I like it.
and to your point, you can then really cheat this defender over. So you
Hmm.
mentioned a rule of three. When the ball's back here, he will really see a body on his drive line and maybe even be deterred from making that drive,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
ultimately you're going to peel in and behind anyways.
Yeah, no, I actually like this. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like making this adjustment for next year.
I told you I've been studying it a lot lately. We can talk sometime afterwards. I got a lot of clips on it, but it's becoming more and more popular in certain places of the world, and I think it's very interesting.
Well, I think
Um,
someone put that on a message. They wanted to ask something to that.
yeah, throw it in. Is it Mike? I knew it was Mike. Yeah, Mike, jump in, man. You don't have to ask. You're no stranger here.
As a guard to be in that corner spot in like a peel switch, it allows your better defender to play like a Draymond situation and quarterback, and then they create their own steals because then they sit the ball or sit the route and call it, and then the guy going behind, both players are able to fully steal the ball, feed the ball. So sometimes they get the back tap steal as well. And peel switch has been like super effective. I don't know, we did it a few times.
Yeah, especially sorry, Dash, especially if you have length, right? Like if the guy that's guarding that strong side corner is long, even if you back cut, sometimes that's a pretty awkward pass to get over a guy who's big or who fills a lot of space laterally. It's not an ideal angle to be able to make it. And even if he does catch it, you know, you got the recovery block from in behind. You're in that tricky spot that's sort of like even or behind the backboard. The only real option you have, in my opinion, is to midget and try and play on the other side of the floor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I kind of like it. I never thought about it, but I feel like if I'm gonna make this adjustment, I kind of like it. Yeah.
Love it, love it. We're teaching each other out here, man. This is good stuff. I think this is my last clip after this, and this one is, give me 1 second as he bonks it off the backboard. Yeah, this is it. This is the transition three. Yay or nay in Coach Dash's opinion. And this question is a staple on this show because you know you get all kinds of coaches who are like the 3-point shot is ruining the game, or you get coaches like, oh, that's too fast, it's early in transition. And then you get other coaches who are like, nah, man, give it to me. So what's your point of view on the transition three and early offense? And don't be married to the result of it going in here, of course.
Well, to be honest, with Arpan Singh shooting this ball, 100% yay. To me, he is a knockdown shooter. Like he's being recruited by Canadian universities, some D2s right now, just to do this one thing, shoot the ball. In the grind session, he's well known for doing this. So if it's him, 1,000% shoot that. Shoot that with confidence. Let it fly. But I'm more based on it more like personnel, like knowing yourself, knowing what you are capable of doing.
Right. So with you then, if it's based upon personnel, does everybody kind of get the initial green light, and then based upon performance, you might have the conversation and take it away? Or how do they get the ability to shoot this shot? Because not everybody is actually in tune with their own abilities.
Or practice, because I'm very like cutthroat, real, 100, and I tell them exactly how I see it, so they would know. Yeah, Coach Dash is not messing with this. He stopped the whole practice. He yelled at me. Like they would know. Like they would just know. And like I would literally tell a guy like, "Hey, this is what you're doing," and put him on blast. So they would know.
I like it. You don't do anything. Sorry, you don't do anything like a shooting ladder or shooting competitions that moves guys up or down in your mind? Or is it really just, you know, like, try it, see, you're going to hear it from me if it's a no?
Well, based on this team personnel, I mean, they know, like I was like actually very specific on like, I got 4 guys that are shooting threes on this team, and 2 guys, if we're shooting 33s, those 2 guys are shooting 15. I was actually very specific on it. Like, hey, like,
Right.
These are the 2 knockdown guys. The rest of you guys are shooting pull-ups, getting to the rim, finding guys. So I was actually kind of like very specific. Based on this team I had this year, not everyone can really shoot it anyways.
I hear you. That's it, Dash. That's all I got. You made it through, man. I appreciate you reaching out. I'm happy that you got to do it. You know, publicly, thank you for the opportunity to train some of your guys. That helped. Obviously, when we were pretty locked down as we are again now, it helped with the mental fitness. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate you. And you know, just big thank you for being able to jump on.
Thank you, Charles. I was excited. I remember when you first told me about this, I was like, yo, I really want to be a part of it. I saw the other guys that you were interviewing, and I thought it was being honored just to be a part of it. So I actually, like, I really thank you.
No, I appreciate you saying that, man. All the coaches who jump on, LB, Mike, thank you. Appreciate you. All the coaches that listen in and give feedback at other times. Appreciate you guys as well. I'm going to wind down the recording. Dash, hang out for a bit. Tell me what you think afterwards. But we'll see you guys on Run It Back next week.
Thank you.